Hello friends and welcome! Hey folks, welcome to another painting stream. Hi everybody, I'm Andrew, also known as Thanatos, and this is my painting stream where most weekdays I get online and we paint some minis. We've been working on Warcry terrain for the past couple of weeks, and we're making some pretty good progress. We've got a lot of small Warcry terrain pieces completed. They look very cool, and we're working on some of the larger terrain pieces now. Yesterday I missed my stream because of the ongoing car purchasing that's going on in our household. I bought a new car, well, a used car, last week, and Amanda is going to start leasing a brand new car this week. So that's exciting. We have never in our entire lives had a brand new car. So that's really exciting. It's a lease, which means we don't own it. We're paying for it monthly, but you know, it's not ours. But it's still a brand new car, and that's exciting. So that's why I was not here yesterday, and that's why I didn't make any progress. But we're going to make some progress today. Let's take a look at the two pieces that we're working on right now. We have the Warcry bell tower that we've been working on. We did this front side is mostly done. So my goal for today is the sides here and here. The back side here. It's going to be a little tricky because there's some areas that are behind this ladder that's going to be tricky to get to. And the underside, there's some areas on the inside here that I'd like to do. So that should take, I don't know. I'm bad at time estimation, but that should probably take about an hour. And then we're going to go back to this generic wall piece that we were working on yesterday. We got this little portion done here yesterday. So it's this side of this pillar around to this side. This little portion here, and the inside a little bit here. So my goal for today is to get the other two corners of this and maybe the underside here. We'll see how much we can do in another hour or so. I've got until noon, so I'm going to dive right into it. This car stuff has been quite exciting, and it's so strange having a car that works after probably 2 years of driving a car that was on its last legs. How it lasted so long when it was so clearly dying, I'll never know. Alright, so for the backside portion here, there's a lot of little like bits that I want to do, so I want some precision. So again, we're going to my favorite brush, my medium layer Citadel brush. I need to get a new one of these eventually because this one is well loved. And we're using our Deck Tan, which is what we've been using for this shade here. It's a sort of pale bluish gray. It's a World War II paint, so it's intended to be used for like boats. This is the color that the deck of a World War II boat would be. But it's perfect for this particular application. If I can finish, and I know I can finish the portions of this that I'm trying to do today. So once I'm done with that, we're very, very near to done with the base coat for this piece. There's a couple little details. There's these rings here that I want to do. These bands here, I have to decide how I'm going to color them. The skeleton cages, there's 2 of those. And I need to do a little bit of repairing. Because this skeleton in his cage snapped off. So we're going to glue that back in place today, let it dry overnight, so that we can apply a bit of primer over the glued bit. I'm also going to see if I can hit this with a hairdryer just to change the angle that it's hanging at. I want it to hang that way, not that way. Anyways, and yeah, we're very, very close to finishing the base coat on this. Once we're done with the base coat, we can do a wash and some detailing. Probably not going to get to that tomorrow. Like, we'll do the small base coat details tomorrow. And then think about a primer maybe on Sunday. My Sunday's going to be busy, but I'd like to get some painting done on Sunday if I can. So we'll see what happens. I felt bad missing a stream yesterday. It's the first time I've missed a weekday since I started this new project, which is streaming weekdays from 10 to noon. I had one last Friday. I had to sort of cut my stream short, so that was a shorter stream, but I haven't actually missed a weekday until now. But it was in a good cause. Amanda and I are getting into new cars. We're going to have fancy new cars to drive around. The car she's leasing is so sweet. It's a Subaru Crosstrek with lots of cool amenities. So it's pretty cool. And in 3 years, we have to decide if we're going to buy that. I think the plan that we're sort of noodling on is that in 3 years, when her lease is up on that car, she'll start a lease on another new car, and I'll trade in the car I just started financing last week, which is the Subaru, I think it's a Outback. But I'll trade that car in and use the trade value to buy the car that she's leasing. At least that's what we hope we'll be able to do. We'll see if we can make that work. And then I'll have a 3-year-old car, and Amanda can start a lease on another new car. And then we'll sort of rotate every 3 years, is the plan. If we can make that work, I think that'll be an excellent thing. So we won't be in the situation we've been in, where we have a car that's 12 years old, and even though we've finished paying for it, it requires so much maintenance that it costs about as much as it would cost to just be making payments on a new car. Like, if I had wanted to keep our old car on the road and make it continue to operate, it was probably going to cost a couple $1,000 in repairs. And that's a couple $1,000 we really don't have. So this is the better option, is to start financing a new vehicle. Well, a newer vehicle, one that works. And hopefully in 3 years I'll have paid some of it down. We can get some trade value for it to help us get into another new car. Obviously, we're going to be in debt for the remainder of our lives, but that's the modern world. Unless you have money,
which is usually inherited money or money from exploiting the labor of others. Like, nobody gets rich through just their own hard work. That's just not how that works. Novocaine, hello, welcome. Sorry, I didn't see you come in. I was so caught up in talking. But yeah. Unless you inherit wealth or exploit others, you are in debt. It's just the way of the world. Yay, capitalism. But at least I have a car that works to get me to my job, to earn money, to go into further debt. Someday, maybe, we'll look at getting a house, and won't that be a hunk of debt? I'd certainly love to be paying a mortgage instead of paying rent, and have the freedom to do whatever I will with our indoor space. Right now, obviously, our current landlords are wonderful people and actually do care about the space, and they're really good at getting maintenance done, which is a radical change from the last place Amanda and I lived, where we'd notify the landlord of an issue, sometimes a quite pressing issue, and perhaps a few weeks later, some buddy of his would come in and do a half-assed job fixing it. He did not spend any money on that property, and it was falling apart. Anyways, our current landlords are great and care about the space, but they also have put many restrictions on our use of the space. We're not allowed to hang anything on the walls, or anything that would require drilling is not permitted. When we were looking at cars, we talked about looking at electric vehicles, but we can't do an EV if we can't install a charging station, and that's something we definitely can't do in our current place. We have a driveway and a space that is reserved for us to park in, but installing a charging station there would be something that our landlords would have to approve, and they're not in favor of that. So, things like that. It would be nice to have our own place where if we wanted to put something up on the wall, we can drill a hole. If we want to make modifications to the space, we can do that within reason, as long as we're not knocking out restraining walls or, load supporting stuff. The bell, are you asking what color I painted it in? I painted it with, where'd I put it? My gunmetal, which is, nope, that's Castle Gray. I don't know where I put the eyedropper, but it's a metallic gunmetal. And I just painted in that sort of a silver. And yes, it is very bright, but that's part of the fun of it, is that eventually I'll go in and add some rust to it, make it look weathered, and that'll be a lot of fun. That's something that I'll do after I've finished the base coat on this and gotten to the washes and finishing stage. Excuse me. You'd have gone bronze with the bell? Yeah. That's part of the fun of painting, is making those color decisions. I debated on it. It'll look great when I get the weathering done, though. At least, that is my hope. This is why it's taking me so ding-dang long to get these pieces done, is that I'm too meticulous. For something that's a terrain piece, this is an unnecessary level of detail to be so meticulous about not getting paint on, like for example, on the skeleton here as I'm painting this section. But this is definitely a showpiece. Like this and the head, the stone head, are the two coolest pieces of terrain in this demo. In the Warcry starter box. And I really want to present them as cleanly and coolly as I'm capable of doing. You put 52 Sarns together last night? Good gracious. Yeah, see, that's where you really can't obsess about that level of detail. I do love the painting job that you're doing on those folks. But you clearly need to be able to go a little faster than this if you're doing that number of models. I am not at my current level of painting comfortable with doing anything on that scale. But yeah, Novocaine, that's impressive. Like, I don't know if I could even assemble on that scale at that speed. Because I tend to spend a lot of time sanding and trimming when I'm constructing units. In a 4 or 8 hour period, I could probably build 8 or 10 units, depending on the complexity of the model. Oh yeah, Airbrush. I gotta get one. I definitely need, because if you're working on that kind of scale, you need a fast way to apply paint. But even just, like I said, even just assembly of 52 units in a single afternoon, that's impressive. We just got in at Battleground the new Dark City box from Games Workshop. and we've got several people working on that, and that has 30 models in it, I believe. And that terrifies me. I could not do something with 30 models in it. Like, a start collecting boxes a big enough chore for me. I'm like, well, that's enough to keep me occupied for a month. That's why I so rarely actually play the games. I mean, this is how I enjoy the hobby. Is getting the painting done, and doing the modeling, and paying attention to the small details, because that's where I get the most enjoyment. I'm not a fast painter by any means, though I think that doing these streams is definitely helping me to hone my technique and get a little bit faster. But I'm quite happy with, in general, quite happy with the results of my labors. Obviously, that failure with the wash on the head still rankles, still bothers me. But in general, I'm pretty happy with the results that I've been getting. And if I just persist, day after day, week after week, we'll see the progress. And I'm having a lot of fun. And I'm so pleased that you folks are joining me. Because, particularly when I get away from the bell tower and to the more generic wall pieces, this is going to get somewhat repetitive. Because those wall segments are built from sort of cut and paste. The same pieces over and over again, just replicated, same shapes. So I don't get to make as many decisions about how I'm painting, because once I've painted one section, I'm probably going to paint all sections in the same way. And those decisions are part of what I enjoy about painting, is seeing those details like the bell and thinking about how I want to do them to make them look cool. There are definitely some folks at the store who take a great deal of pride in painting the pieces to look as precisely like the examples on the boxes as they possibly can. You know, they select their palette and they try and do the details exactly as they are on the box. And I'm not denigrating that. I think that's a perfectly valid way to enjoy the hobby as well. But that's not what I do. I very frequently make choices that don't match with the examples. Some are just a slight variation, like my towel, where I've just sort of substituted green for orange, but have largely kept everything else in the palette very similar to the way they are generally accepted to be painted. But sometimes I
go in a very different direction. An example, actually I might have to search for it because I don't have the models here. They're at the store, but I did a store demo for Underworld, and I definitely chose a palette for some of the Sylvan models that was well outside the normal for them, but I was very, very happy with the results. Oh, made some progress there. We got those pillars done. Let's work on this side now. Let me do quick search. Hang on. Thrill as I stare at my phone for a moment. Yes, I don't want to play it, I want to share it. There we go. Share. Copy link. So there is a link to the Wild Hunt figures that I painted for the store demo of Underworld. And if you're at all familiar with these figures, you'll see that I've gone radically different from the normal color scheme. But I'm extremely pleased with how it came out. Come on, phone. Why are you doing this to me? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was one of my first experiments in doing that sort of fading. Sort of doing some wet brushing. And for a first attempt, I'm pretty happy with it. I definitely feel like it's something I want to work on more. But it was an excellent experiment. Again, as I always say, part of what I enjoy about painting is learning new techniques and learning new ways to manipulate the paint. And that was a technique that I desperately want to get better at. We're going to do more of that later on when I get to the figures for this Warcry demo, because there's some of them that I want to do some cool color fading and stuff with. I do realize that's another area where an airbrush can be a handy tool, because it's excellent at applying paint in a sort of dispersed manner. It is probably the best thing about an airbrush. So, again, something I'd love to be able to do with an airbrush someday.
someday we'll get an airbrush and we'll play around with it on stream. We'll get some figures I don't care too much about, and we'll do some experimentation. And practice getting paint on figures in a new and interesting way. For me. In the meantime, we're going to just continue the old-fashioned way, slowly applying paint with a paintbrush. It's working pretty well so far. Just, it is not fast. Yeah, definitely. Terrain would be an excellent way to get some practice with an airbrush. Because just applying paint quickly to large surfaces, something that airbrushes are excellent at. Things faster. Airbrushes are key. Oh, just painting my camera. That's fine. As long as I don't paint the lens, everything's fine. Anybody who doesn't have paint everywhere on their workspace is clearly not serious about painting. My friend Allie, who for a while was doing commission work, would frequently paint her hand to test the palette and shades that she was applying to the model. So she'd end up with like streaks of contrasting paint on her hand. Getting to the areas of this that are going to be tricky because I'm working behind this ladder. Occasion when I wish that I had been around when this model was being assembled so that I could get some paint on it before it was glued together. Not there when this model was being assembled. I sort of inherited the fully painted pieces because, like I've said before, Serena painted them in an assembled them in an afternoon because she wanted to test out the new rules for Warcry and play some quick games. So in the space of single afternoon, she assembled the two main armies of the Warcry demo and several pieces of terrain, including this one. And she was able to do some demos and play around with it. I'm kind of hoping that when I am finished painting all of these, Serena and Kevin will come on stream perhaps and do some demo games using the pieces that I have freshly painted. We'll see if we can do that. Probably wouldn't be on this channel. It'll probably be on the Battleground Games Live channel. Twitch.tv/BattlegroundGamesLive for anybody unfamiliar with it. Which is where Amanda and I and our friends and my co-workers stream various board games and card games and stuff on a weekly basis. Speaking of which, this week we're going to have some fun on that channel. Assuming, because again, we're going to the car dealership again tonight. Oh my goodness. I feel like we've been spending more time there than at home. But anyways, hopefully we'll be home by 7:30 tonight in time to do a Twitch stream on our Battleground Games Live channel. And our plan is to play around with some Time Spiral Remastered. Strixhaven comes out tomorrow, and I was like, Amanda, we should play some Magic. And she was like, okay. And I was like, we've got some Call Time stuff. And she's not really into Call Time as much as she's into Time Spiral Remastered. And we have a bunch of Time Spiral Remastered packs we haven't opened yet. So we're going to do a Winchester draft, which is a two-person draft format. We're going to draft some Time Spiral Remastered, build a couple decks, and play a couple games. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be so much fun. I hope that we're able to get things done at the dealership quickly today so that we can get home in time to quickly eat some form of dinner and get online for that stream. Oh no, this was inevitable. I just got paint on the ladder. I don't know if you folks can see it right there. It's gonna happen. It's fine. It's fine. Not even gonna bother painting over it. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to today's Battleground Games Live stream. We've opened a bunch of packs because I bought a box of Time Spiral Remastered, and we've been sort of opening it periodically when we needed something fun to do, distract us from our lives. But we haven't played with the card as much. We haven't built any decks or done anything with constructed. So this draft is going to be our first chance to actually play with the Time Spiral Remastered cards. That's exciting. Is I'm frequently sort of pushing paint into nooks and crannies with the brush, and that almost always results in bubbles getting pushed into the paint. I'm not a fan of that. Do not like bubbles in the paint. Some paint on this model well, though. Definitely making progress today. I'm pretty certain that I will be able to finish getting the masonry and stonework on this piece done today. I mean, what? I've got an entire hour left in the stream. And we're done with most of the hard to get to areas of this. And most of the precision work I wanted to get done. The remainder is going to be using a wider brush to get some other areas. That'll be a lot faster and easier. So within the next, I don't know, 15 minutes, I should be done. I'm bad at estimating time periods, but I think within 15 minutes I should be done with the masonry on this bell tower. And then we'll do a little bit of work on the masonry on the generic wall piece. How much of that I can do in like 45 minutes. And we'll do that repair work on this one, because I want to give the glue time to dry so that tomorrow I can do some fine detail work. Like, I don't want to paint the cages that these skeletons are in until I've repaired, like glued this one back on where he's missing there, and put some reinforcement in there, and like I said, hit this with a hairdryer to quickly bend it into a more favorable angle. Should be pretty simple. So I'm going to do that today, and then I'm also going to do some reinforcement on this, so that, because this piece is going to see some play, and I want to make those skeletons a little harder to break off. I'm almost, it's going to happen. I'm resigned to the fact that those skeletons are going to break off. It's just the weakest point in this model, and anything that gets used by the general populace in the store is going to see some wear. So eventually those are going to snap off again. I just want to put some reinforcement in there to make it happen less frequently if I can. So we're going to try and do that today as well. And give the glue time to dry so that tomorrow I can paint those pieces. What do I varnish with? I have a rattle can of matte varnish that I'm going to use. To seal the paint, basically. So that's what I'm going to use as the final step before these folks are ready to hit the table. And yes, that does add a little bit of extra protection as well. Yeah, I have a bottle of Ard Coat around here somewhere that I use for a glossy finish when I want a glossy finish. Again, I don't have an example here, but for the Warcry demo, or for the Underworld demo, there are a collection of beastmen, and their weapons are meant to be obsidian blades. So I painted them in black, and then I used Ard Coat over that to give them that glossy sheen, and they look great. That came out very well. Alright, so that's the back sides of these pillars done. Did that. I'm going to try and get the underside here done a little bit. And then I'm going to switch brushes and get the sides done, because this is just, you know, a wide open area. That's going to be really, really quick. And there's no need for me to use a precision brush for that. So let's get the underside of this done quickly. And I don't think I have to be as precise with this, because who's going to look here besides me? Nobody. Nobody is ever going to see this. But I would know, and that's where I always have trouble. Is I would know if it wasn't done. So, for my own satisfaction, even in these hard to see, hidden under the model areas, I don't have to be as precise, but I want to get some detail in there. Just mashing paint around back here. It's fine. It's fine. Definitely when I get to the stage of putting the varnish on the piece, I'm like, this piece is done. I've said before that with any piece of art, it's never really finished. You get to wherever you're satisfied, and then you just have to sort of step away. You have to just say, okay, I've done as much damage as I can here. This is an awkward angle. I'm just going to step away from this now. And when you apply that varnish, you're basically saying, okay, I'm not going to be putting any more paint on this model. I'm counting it as done now. It's hard to do touch-ups after you've done the varnish. You could, but you reach a point where you're just adding layer upon layer and you're going to lose detail. So once you've put that varnish on there, it's effectively the end of the painting on that model. this underside now. I knew this wasn't going to take much time because I'm not being super precise with it. Definitely a law of diminishing returns where I could spend a lot of time being as precise and exact as I possibly could. But on a surface like this, that is on the underside, inside, and backside, it doesn't matter as much. It's more for my personal gratification that I'm doing this. Inside of this arch here, and then I'm going to switch brushes. This is so awkward. I'm going to do it on that side. Okay. Alright, I'm going to switch brushes and do some of these wider spaces. And then we're going to say we're done for today with this model, aside from the repairs. We'll do a little bit of repairs first. A little bit of gluing and putting pieces back together. And then we'll set this aside. We'll call it done for the day, and we'll work on this other piece over here. I had wanted to get this portion done in an hour, and it's taken me about an hour and 10 minutes to get to where we are right now. So, as usual, I'm behind schedule. That's fine. That's just how things go. That brush. This brush. Alright, so now we're switching over to my Army Painter Wargamer Regiment brush. Just has a nice broad head there, and it's good for rapidly applying paint to larger areas. Like yeah. Quick and easy. This brush has seen better days. That's fine.
gap. We'll try to repair that skeleton who got snapped off last Friday. Reinforce the other skeleton. I'm gonna briefly mute. Go grab my wife's hair dryer out of the bathroom. I'll use that to adjust the angle of the skeleton here. And then we'll have maybe half an hour to work on the other terrain piece that I've been working on this week. And we'll see how much we can do in half an hour. Probably not an awful lot. We'll get some paint on the model. It will have more paint on it by the end of the day than it did at the start of the day. And really, isn't that always the objective? Maybe on Sunday I'll do a stream and do a wash on this piece so that we can move this piece closer to the done category. Have to be a little bit more careful with that wash than I was for the wash with the other piece, the giant head. Wash on a little less vigorously. Just putting the paint on pretty thick here, but that's fine. My goal right now is speed and coverage. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit thick or gloppy, or even if it has some brush strokes in it, because all of this is going to get a very thorough wash. And it'll darken things down and make this look a little less rough. Was going to go fast. Which is why I left this till last. It's like, yeah, give me some satisfaction. Get something done quickly. Both sides done there.
inside edges. Oh, my leg is falling asleep. Wish I had more time to do just like a longer bonus stream at some point. Just for these larger pieces of terrain, I feel like even in a 2-hour block, I'm not getting a lot done. I mean, obviously, I've made some progress today. But it doesn't feel like as much progress just because there's so much space to cover. No, I've not received my alchemy paints yet. I am looking forward to having something new to play with, though. Do you want to pop that link in in chat again? So if anybody is looking at this in the VOD, they have the link so they can see what you're talking about, Novocaine. Novocaine had these cool paints that are useful as like technicals. Thank you. I told you Amanda bought herself some iridescent paint, and that looks like a lot of fun to play with. Good for like anything that has like a chitinous or shimmery coat. That. I have to do this here and there. We are so close to done with this coat, with this area. I like being done. I don't know where Amanda got the iridescence from.
like making progress. I need a brush with like a bend in the head. Get at areas that are behind other areas. This is so awkward. There. Good enough. A while before I have to do any more large terrain pieces. At some point, I'm going to do a Tau shield wall, not for the store, but for my personal collection, and not as terrain, but as a display piece for my Tau. So that's probably the next large piece of terrain I'm going to paint. Maybe by the time I get to that, I'll own my own airbrush, and that should make that go a lot faster. We'll see. Bits right in here. Let's do some maintenance and gluing. Kind of nervous because I haven't built anything in a while, so we'll see what the state of my glue is.
hopefully it was adequately sealed. If not, I may have to put off doing maintenance until I can go to the store and get myself fresh glue. Think here, and do this without hitting any of the paint I've already done. Right here is the last piece, I think, that I want to paint today. Well, I mean, on this piece of terrain. There. All right. All right. So let's review. Just double check. So we did all of this here, this little bit here, all of the back side of this pillar, tops, insides, on the bottom here, we did all of this. Oh, there's a bit there that I want to hit. Right there. Okay. Just very quickly. Doesn't have to look good, just want to get paint on it. Okay, did that in there. Back sides, undersides. Yeah. All right. Excellent. So, clean my brush. What time is it now? 11:30. All right, so we'll spend a few minutes doing some repair and maintenance. Excuse me one moment, chat. I'm gonna run out and grab a hairdryer, so give me just a mo. Alright, I'm back. So, let us take a quick glance at this. So, this skeleton here is the one that's giving me agita because it's at this weird angle. So I'm just gonna hit it quickly with a hairdryer. Try and keep the plastic. Sorry about the noise. There, sorry about the noise. I think that looks a little better. I may have gone too far in the other direction. There we go. Marvelous. Alright, now, repairs. I want to glue this person back on, that skeleton back on, but I also want to add a little bit of reinforcement. So, first we'll glue the skeleton back where it ought to be. Just going to use Citadel plastic glue. Hopefully this isn't sealed up too much. I do like the Citadel plastic glue because it comes with the little metal rod to keep it from plugging up too much. I want just the tiniest dab of glue, really. Not much. Yep, there it's coming. Careful, careful, careful. The thing about plastic glue, actually melts the plastic slightly when you apply it. So this is going to involve some patience here. Stick this on here, there, and then we're just going to wait. It's going to take a little while for it to create a bond. And then I have a cunning plan, to add some reinforcement to make this hold a little better. It's not going to look perfect, but hopefully it'll be subtle enough that it will allow me to add some reinforcement without making the model look too awkward. We'll see. But first, holding this in place, waiting for a bond to form. Patience, patience. This is definitely
people. It's just when you're doing something like this, it's just a small spot. You have to be able to just wait it out. It's holding for now. I can't lie this down because that'll put undue strain in the wrong direction. Luckily, this is a very light piece. Like the skeleton cage is not a heavy piece. It's holding for now. I'm going to seal this glue up. And then we're going to apply a little bit of reinforcement. This is where I'm not going to use plastic glue, I'm going to use Zap-A-Gap. So we'll see if my Zap-A-Gap has solidified. We'll find out. But what we're going to do is have a thread. This is just a piece of black thread. And I'm going to try and glue that to the side of this as reinforcement. So first we need a smaller piece of thread. Hopefully this will work. Just going to snip off a bit with my hobby knife. I don't have 100% confidence that this will work for cutting thread, but we'll find out. Oh yeah, that worked fine. Okay, so I've got a little piece of thread here. The reason I'm using Zap-A-Gap for this instead of plastic glue is plastic glue is excellent at gluing plastic, as implied by the name, but is not super good. Yeah, there's a cap on this. Not super good at gluing non-plastic pieces to plastic. I need a metal rod from here. Let's see if I can punch through this. Get to my Zap-A-Gap. This is the problem with not using your glue frequently. So it can solidify. There we go. Okay. Now. Alright. This is going to be a challenge. The challenge here is going to be gluing this little bit of thread to the model, not to my fingers. I've already got glue on my fingers. Alright, so how to do this? I'm going to try putting a little bit of glue on the thread itself. And then we're going to use my hobby knife to try and stick the thread onto the model. Still plugged? So hard. Come on. There we go. It's coming. It's just going out very slowly. It's cool. Okay, so we're going to put a little glue on each end of the thread. Yes, I'm going to glue the thread to my knife. Excellent plan. This is tough.
could just be that it's too gummy now. Now the thread is covered in glue. Can I get the thread to transfer from my finger to the model? Insufficient hands. Okay. Use the back of my hobby knife to try and mash this onto the model. It's not exactly what I envisioned. It's pretty close. Now there's all this glue, this bit of thread. A little thicker now, just because of all the glue. But hopefully when that dries, it will offer reinforcement. Make that bond a little bit better. So we'll let that dry. It's fine. Let that dry, and then we'll apply a little paint to the outside of it. Put some primer on it, which will both add another layer and provide a little reinforcement and conceal the thread. And then we'll paint over the primer, adding yet another layer. And I believe with all that, that skeleton is less likely to pop off again. We shall see. So, accomplished what I wanted to do there. I'm just going to make sure that there's not a plug in this paint. No, in this Zapigat. This glue. And seal that back up again for the next time I need to build a model. And seal up my my plastic glue. There we go. Lovely. How much time do we have? We've got 10 minutes. That's plenty of time to do a little bit something else, right? Let's continue work on this. Start here and work out and around this corner here. So, done for now with our lighter brush. Add some more paint. I
I did buy some more deck tan, so if we run out of paint, we've got more on the way. Nope. Back to our inlay brush. See how much we can do in 10 minutes. Probably not much, but get some done. More than none is the answer. Less than all. More than none. Again, as we approach the end of another stream, I'll say what I always say, which is thank you so much, everybody, for supporting me, for joining me, for following, for being a part of the chat. Thank you for being a part of this project and this endeavor as I work to get more stuff painted. Having you folks to be a part of this with me has made this journey that much more entertaining, has really made, like, I don't know if I would get up every day and get paint on models as consistently as I have been if I didn't have you folks there in chat to cheer me on and to keep me company and to make all of this as entertaining for me as it has been. And I hope it's been entertaining for you folks as well. I hope this is not monotonous to watch. I know I say the same thing every day. I say every day, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that you folks are having fun watching while I'm having fun painting. Certainly, I'm making some good progress. I really look forward to having these Warcry pieces done so that folks can come in to the Abington location of Battleground Games and Hobbies and play with them. I think that they will make an excellent demo. I think that once these terrain pieces are ready to hit the table, they will provide an excellent background for folks as they play not just Warcry, but any miniature game that they choose to play on those tables. We've got Sigmar Sundays at the Abington location, so perhaps just some general Age of Sigmar players will appreciate having new fantasy terrain to do their battles with. And eventually, I'll get back to the minis for the Warcry demo, and that will provide something that we can show off in the store. Very cool to have those minis completed, and I'm just looking forward to painting them. Let's face it, I enjoy putting paint on walls, which is why this
so much fun for me. And why I felt so bad yesterday when I missed a day. Oops. Here, go around to the back side of this. I was really hoping over the course of this week I would be able to complete one of these generic wall segments. I guess it was just not with the speed that I painted. There's quite a lot of detail that I want to get done. And I've spent a lot of time on that bell tower this week. I wanted to finish that as well. But now that that bell tower is mostly done, I can concentrate more on this and on other generic wall segments. See what we get done next week. We continue with this painting stream. I bet we can make some real progress next week. Hopefully finish this piece. Maybe make some progress on another wall piece. Got 3 more after this one. So, the more I can get done, the closer we are to having a complete Warcry terrain set for the demo. And then we'll be able to play some Warcry. Maybe do some on stream. We'll see. Sounds like Amanda might be home. Yep, I think Amanda is home. So I'm going to wrap things up. As always, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this adventure that I am on. We're making some solid progress. Like I said, we got more than nothing done today, which is an improvement over yesterday, because I wasn't able to stream yesterday and we didn't get any paint on the models at all yesterday. Sad times. But little progress each day, and eventually we'll be at a stage where we can say, yes, these pieces are done. These pieces are ready to be played with. And you, my friends in chat, are part of that. Are part of getting this done. I don't want to stop. But I do have things I need to do. Maybe I'll do a little more later this afternoon. It's unlikely. I have, like I said, other things that I need to get done. But definitely, I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and perhaps do a slightly longer stream tomorrow. I may be able to go until 1 o'clock tomorrow instead of until noon. And we'll do some fine detail work on the bell tower. We'll get some last details done on that. We'll see how that repair job does holding up overnight. And we'll get some more paint on this model. Probably a significantly larger amount of paint on this model because the fine details that I want to do on the bell tower probably won't take that long. There's not that much that I really still need to address on that model. It's mostly just little highlights, little bits here and there. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I will see you tomorrow for that at 10 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 to noon, or perhaps 10 to 1 tomorrow. In the meantime, let me finish what I am working on, and I'll say we're done for today. Yeah. Good enough. Let's finish this pillar. I can't stop. Let's finish this pillar, and then we'll call it done for the day. There's not that much of it to do, right? It's going to be really quick. Just this little bit here. That. With that, we'll call it for today. Every day, a little more progress. Every day, more paint on the plastic. There. Yeah, a little bit. In those 10 minutes at the very end. Anyhow. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon. Remember to tune in at 7:30 Eastern to twitch.tv/battlegroundgameslive because we're going to try and play some a draft using Time Spiral Remastered cards. So that's going to be super exciting. And I will be back tomorrow. And we'll get some more paint on these models. So be excellent to each other and enjoy whatever art it is you choose to do. Thanks for joining me.